Alright.
Hello? Hello, everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
hello.
same. Yeah.
Is Professor Charles on?
It seems he's having a network issue.
Okay. Yeah, me too. It took me some time before I was able to log in. All right, let me try to get in contact with him and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Hello, guys. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah,
Oh,
hello.
guys, you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can
Yes,
hear you
we
loud
can
and
hear
clear.
you.
Oh, okay. I hope is director on it?
Yeah, he was gonna call you to
Oh,
find
okay.
out. Yeah.
All right. Since I'm back, I think we're gonna continue until I get his call. So, you guys see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can
Yes,
see.
we can.
Yes.
Yeah. Which slide? Which was the last slide that you had me on?
Chapter 2. Page 2, rather.
All right. So I guess I'm gonna go back. Let's see. All right. So we're on this page, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So it's the introduction. So it's actually significance of safety in healthcare. And then I told you about the essential of protecting the patients, but I told you don't look back too far from that. Just put yourself at home. Why do you do certain things to ensure safety in your home? You need to protect your family. You don't want injuries. You want everybody to be safe. You know there is a risk that this thing could happen at home if I don't like keep my floors dry. If I have wet floors, there's a risk that somebody will slip and fall. The same thing is here. It's just that it's well defined here, and then we've actually like put it in a formal way that this is what you have to do there. It's the same thing. Don't look too far. The same significance of safety in your household is just upgraded a little bit in the healthcare, because you have patients coming, you have people that are sick coming in there, and you have workers, which is so many stakeholders coming in there, unlike your home where it's just your family. You have other stakeholders coming in there. So it's essential to protect patients, employees, and visitors. All right. And then you are part of the employees. And then it requires ongoing education and proper planning. And that is where I mentioned that you cannot be doing the ongoing education when there's work to be done. And that's where we need the proper planning, such that we are not going to ignore the continuous education, and neither are we going to compromise our work output. And that's where we need the proper planning. Then the implementation of these safety systems helps us to reduce the risk and then prevent the injuries that we think that could happen. It's not like we think and it could happen. Slip and falls do happen all the time. But if we are able to implement it in the right way with proper planning, we could reduce risks and prevent injuries. Okay. And that saves lives through combined effort. And that was what I was hammering on the combined effort. Do your part. Don't sit and say somebody did it wrong, so I'm not continuing. We need a combined effort. And that's where I reminded you guys of the aseptic principles. That you see what is dirty, you see what is clean, you see what is sterile. If they are mixed up, you have to jump in and remedy it right away. That is a combined effort. You are not sitting on the fence because somebody did it wrong. You are also staying away. No. All right. So, yeah, I'm recording it. So, director, if you hear me, I'm recording it now. Yeah. All right. So that is it. And then they say it talks about the central service decontamination area. It operates in the presence of pathogenic microorganisms. This was something that we spoke about during the time that we're talking about some people drinking or eating or doing something in the decon area. Please be careful. That's what this point is telling us. Central service decontamination area operates in the presence of pathogenic microorganisms that you don't see with your eyes. All right. So is it good? Are you doing yourself any good? Drinking water in there? Exposing yourself in there? No. All right. This presents real risk to those who enter there. That's why you are going there with your PPE. All right. You're going there with your PPE because the place has microorganisms that could hurt you. Okay. And that is why you're going there with that. So have that in mind, that it's not just everything that you see there, but it's everything that you've been told that could happen there. All right. So take care of that. So by telling you that there are pathogenic microorganisms there, it presents real risk to those who enter there. And this requires engineering safety and risk management. Just trying to ameliorate the situation, if not to eliminate it. At least we try to cushion the impact, such that you are going there with protected PPEs that will actually protect you from all this. But then the point is, they have to be put on the right way, and then use the appropriate ones to mitigate this risk. Right? So let's go on now. So we are now on the importance of the safety in healthcare. We've talked about the significance of it. Why is it important? It's important because we don't want patients to be injured. We don't want our employees to get injured. We don't want any stakeholder to get injured. We need to put them in the safety zone, put them in the safety class, make sure they are safe to come in there. All right. And remember, patients are coming there sick or with some minor problems that they want to take care of. You don't have to come and exacerbate that problem. If you can remedy them, don't put them on a higher or increased injury. Okay. So that is one why safety is important in the healthcare. You don't know who is coming there today or who is coming tomorrow. It could be anybody. So let's ensure that there's safety there. Then we talk about the responsibility of healthcare professionals, which is you. All right. Preventing accidents and injuries should be one of your goals there. Implementing safety protocols should be one of your goals there. Continuous monitoring and improvement should be one of your goals there. If you work in maybe in the lobby in the healthcare at the facility and you see a wet spot, what will you do? You're just gonna walk by and say, "Oh, I'm not here. I'm in SPD. This side is on the OR. Let me go. Somebody has to take care of that." No. All right. That's one of your responsibilities. Implementing safety protocols. Call whoever is next or whoever is in charge to take care of that right away. If you have to put something there like those yellow boards that say wet floors and stuff, put it right there. Get somebody to take care of that. You're walking in there, you see somebody coming to the OR section with no PPEs, with outside clothes. What do? You have to stop the person. Don't wait till the person gets there for somebody to jump out of there and get the person out. Tell the person, look, this side is, look at the notices here. This side is sterile. Please, you got to stay out of it. If you need to go in there, let me call somebody for you. That's it. All right? That's your responsibility. So take that up. Don't go there and be like you doing everything on your own, or you don't care about any other department. Last week, we spoke about that. Your role, Dr. Mike told you about it. Your role and the responsibilities that you're going to play with the departments around you, with all the units around you. You are not going to stand there by yourself. You can function that way. All right? So continuous monitoring and improvement is something that we need. If you see that something was not done right this time, you talk to your manager or supervisor. This thing, we could have done it this way. They'll reason with you if it works and it falls in line with our regulatory procedures. Okay? So our learning objectives here is that we're talking of safety and risk management as ensuring a safe working environment. You have to be safe, your colleagues have to be safe, the patient have to be safe, which is your customers, they all have to be safe. By doing that, it reduces the likelihood of accidents and injuries. Common workplace hazards include the fire hazards, that's why you see these fire extinguishers everywhere. And then remember, we use hazardous materials. Look at the cassettes that we use. Look at the ethylene oxide machines that we are using, sterilization, the detergents that we use. You have to have all that in mind. That look, I have to make sure things are safe here. There are so much hazards, but that should not scare you. That should put you on your toes to act and make the place safe. Any questions up to this point? So I know some people keep saying that safety is no accident. Yeah, safety is no accident. And it's no accident because it requires like continuous education, as I said, and proper planning, and then the implementation of safety systems, so especially in the Deacon. And that is what you should be up to. All right. So when we talk of the risk management, as we keep talking about it, it's just a method to assess the risk and develop a plan to mitigate it. So if you go and there's none like that, you should be thinking of that. But definitely there will be a risk, a method there, a risk management plan there. All right. When we talk of risk management, a lot of times people think that it's just from like people, we decided to protect certain agencies. No, it came from the insurance companies, where they try to, from the insurance industry, where they try to like mitigate or minimize their losses by ensuring that if you are insured, you are genuinely insured, and they're preventing the risk that you have insured against. They want to reduce it to the barest minimum. And that way the insurance companies can make money, and you also have your insurance, right? So that's where it originated from. So a lot of times when we talk of risk management, it is just a method to assess the risk, okay, and then develop a plan to mitigate or reduce that risk from happening, the occurrence of that risk. All right? Any questions up to this point? It's one of the requirements. Risk management is one of the requirements of the Joint Commission. So it's not like you do it when you want. It's one of the requirements. So definitely there's going to be one wherever you go. It helps to prevent accidents, and then it brings about, when the Joint Commission is requesting for that, they want a plan that prevents accidents, a plan that actually brings about accurate reporting of accidents, and then correction actions, like corrective actions to take, all right, to prevent the recurrence of those things. So that it's all, as I said, all stakeholders have to be on it when it comes to risk management. Any questions before I continue? No questions, so we're all good. Guys, are you hearing me though?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank God that you guys are still on. So, as I spoke about the common workplace hazards, before I go further down, we have physical hazards, all right? I know we will talk about it as we go, but I'll try to preempt it so that our time could be used rightfully as we want. So we have the physical hazards, such as the wet floors, the cluttered walkways, like heavy carts that you have to put, and then sharp instruments. Then we have biological hazards, which are more like infectious wastes, and then blood-borne pathogens and stuff. Okay, so which area do we think must be most concerned about these biological safety hazards? Which area? Can anyone tell me which area should be most concerned about these biological safety hazards? Which area in the department? Because I said the biological is about biological safety, which is blood pathogens and blood-borne things, infectious waste and all that. So out of the department, which unit? We have our decon, we have our sterilization area, and which unit is going to be most prone to that?
Decon.
The decon, okay? And that's why you have to be very careful there, and also side with me when I say you don't even have to drink there, okay? You're better off going out, redressing, coming back in. Go out and drink your water and redress and come back in and put everything over again. You're better off, okay? You are better off, all right? Then we talk about chemical safety too, which may be found like everywhere in the hospital or in the facility. Everywhere in our department, chemical safety hazards are all around us. Our solutions that we use, the sterilant that we use, and then the patient care products, okay? So everything is around us, especially when it comes to the chemical safety hazards, okay? So everywhere you go, safety should be your concern. And then the next bullet says ergonomic and health awareness. When you talk of ergonomic, it's more about concerning slip and falls. It's mostly about like trying to take care of how your body works in these stress situations on the job. So how do they affect your body, and how can we do to actually remedy those or reduce them so that your work, lifting and stuff don't actually put so much burden on your body. All right. So it's more a concern about slips and falls, electrical safety, shafts, and all that. But we'll go into details as we go on. Okay. So anybody has questions about that up to this point?
No.
All right. So when you talk of ergonomic, at times it's like falls, heavy lifting, repetition of, like people that are in the factory sections, they do a lot of repetitive work, and that could be like stress in your body. All right. And then awkward positions where you have to lift something all the way from the ground. It's heavy. If you're lifting it, as Professor John told us, if you're lifting it from weight level, you are better off than lifting it from the bottom or lifting it above your head. Okay. Those are all ergonomic issues about protecting yourself and your body and not stressing the body too much. So we have to know all that. All right. And then the vibration, which is a rapid oscillation of the body or a body part. It's all going to happen. But the point is there are ways to remedy all that. And then your contact stress, where we have to deal with sharp edges. Okay. So these are all things that have been planned, and to make sure that you don't hurt yourself or put your body in an awkward position doing this job. So the ergonomic and health awareness is part of the risk management. Common safety hazards in central service, we will speak about that. Special safety precautions for ethylene oxide, which we told you that we're going to be using gases and chemicals and solutions that are very deadly. We have to tell you this, the special safety precautions. Disaster plans for healthcare facilities, reporting employee accidents and injuries. When there's an accident, somebody gets hurt, please report it accurately. All right? Don't just say, oh, this is minor. No, it has to happen and be documented so that we see how to prevent it, so that next time it doesn't happen, or it's going to be very difficult for that to occur again. All right? All right. And then education and reporting in safety management. We're going to talk about all that. So the risk management, we are here. The definition and purpose, it's just as I told you, I already exhausted this point. It's just a method to assess risk of specific activities and then develop programs to reduce it, which involves injury prevention and claims management. So if you look at the claims management, that is where the insurance industries were more concerned. If they were able to reduce injuries and prevent those injuries, the risk of having millions of dollars to pay in claims in lawsuits would have been minimized. All right? And that's how come they came about with this, and now risk management has become a popular method for all companies to do on all industries. All right, so that's the origin and the importance of it, which they're saying that it originated in the insurance industry. A result of increased medical malpractice lawsuits on them actually made them to sit down and think. Say that cost healthcare facilities billions of dollars. So they said, no, you know what? We have to find a way to mitigate this high cost of lawsuits. If we can prevent this slip and falls, all these accidents coming in, then we can reduce this cost. And that's how come risk management came in. All right. So the requirements and standards for risk management include, as I told you before, that the Joint Commission requires procedures for safety standards. So I've preempted this to you. Joint Commission requires that. The hospital, the facilities have to do it. Okay. Program design and implementation will have to factor in all this to make sure we are reducing the risk. We are managing it right to prevent all these high cost of malpractice lawsuits. So now we are here at the definition and origin again, which I've told you I've exhausted it already. If you have questions, you can ask, you can pause me and ask. But this is it. This is what I just told you. So I'm not going to waste time on this slide anymore. I'm going on to another one. So the Joint Commission, I told you, requires that healthcare facilities must develop and implement these safety procedures. So if you're doing the test and they ask you about Joint Commission and risk management, understand and know that they have this requirement where healthcare facilities must develop and implement safety procedures. So if they ask you, does Joint Commission have anything to do with healthcare facilities development safety procedures? You should not think like outside of the box to find it, because it's right here that the Joint Commission, which usually they write it the TJC, has requirements for these facilities. They must develop and implement safety procedures and then ensure compliance with minimum safety standards. So you have to design yours, but then there's a minimum standard that, okay, it's like writing an exam and they tell you the threshold 70%. If you don't get 70, you fail. It's the same thing here. That is the minimum compliance there. So these hospitals and facilities have to get to certain level and then beyond. And that's what the TJC would like to see from them. So risk management programs, they're designed to prevent these accidents and injuries and to ensure accurate reporting and follow-up, which I said that some people, they got injured and they say, no, I don't even want to report about it. No, it has to be. How did it happen? So that next time we can prevent it, because it could happen again and it will be worse than what happened to you. So we have to report it accurately, and then we plan on how to take care of that next time. All right. So the accurate reporting and follow-up is very, very necessary, and it helps prevent similar incidents. The corrective actions that they spoke about is about correcting what has happened. Examine situations to identify the hazards or the unsafe practices. Because a couple of days ago, I took a picture of something that they brought from the OR. It was in the clean side. I looked at it, but then I'd gone through Deacon to the clean side. It's cleaned, put in the washer, and it came out. And I looked at it and I said, so how come this thing got here and nobody even saw it? So you see, at every stage, you have to be alert. It has come from the OR to the decon. The decon has actually taken all this out, washed it, put it back in the in the washers, the disinfected washers, to take these things, clean them. And then it came to the clean side. And then, unfortunately for me, I was assembling it. And then I look at it and say, what? I don't want to see this. How come this thing got to this point? But the point is that it has happened and it will happen again. It was what is it? A blade, a surgical blade, actually on a scalpel, which is the knife handle. You know, it must not come from the OR to the decon. It must not come there, but it came there. And look at how far it has gotten to my table for assembly. You see? So even though the one that did it at the decon also missed it, I had to catch it here. Oh, you know? So those are the kind of things. So if it happens that way, okay, next time I'll tell my supervisor or director, this is what has just happened. I take a picture of it and show it to him. What is he going to do? He's going to call a meeting or try to organize a training session for us to re-examine how we inspect these knife handles from the decon. All right. And also we'll have to involve the OR staff too in another training session that, look, these things have been coming back to the decon and they are not supposed to. All right. These are the kind of things. So if you don't document it, if you don't report it, how are you going to stop it from happening? And if I wasn't careful, then you think that those knife handles on those blades, surgical blades, are super sharp. Super sharp. All right. Anything could have happened if I mistakenly touched it. And these are the things why we need risk management programs to report these things accurately, take pictures of them, talk to your supervisor so that they plan carefully to actually address this, to mitigate that situation. And this will help prevent similar incidents. So the corrective actions here will have to be taken after this kind of reporting and like going over and over it to see how it happened. So we examine the situation to identify the hazard or unsafe practice, which was this blade on the knife handle coming all the way from the OR, all the way through the washers to the assembly side. Okay? So now we have to implement a corrective action to improve these systems, behaviors, and conditions. And this is what would have involved a meeting or a training session for the OR staff and then the SPD staff on how to eliminate this risk, to eliminate this thing from recurring. All right? So when we implement this by doing those trainings, then we can prevent employee and patient incidents and injuries. Any questions? Right. So most of them will not be in your court, but the point is you play a role. Because look at that. When I saw it, I could have said, oh, forget about it. Take it and just put it in the right bin where it's supposed to be. Take the sharp off and put it there. No, it does not have to be like that. It has to be prevented. We have to make sure it doesn't happen again. Or even if it will happen, maybe once in 10 years. All right. So common workplace safety hazards. You have to understand the risk in the workplace. All jobs involve some risks. All right. I already told you about physical, biological, and chemical. So I'm not even going to go back there. We have to understand that there are risks at all jobs. At first, I told you about the airplane thing. Yes, we know that joining the airplane is a risk, but we do it. There's risk everywhere, right? The key to safety is understanding and minimizing the risk. Understanding the risk and minimizing it. All right, and that is why we have these safety protocols. Their importance here is that following these safety protocols prevents injuries and accidents. One of the safety protocols was said that this knife handle and the scalpel and the blade should have been inspected there. Maybe it was bloody, so they didn't even think of rinsing it and looking at it. But that was not the point. That is not what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to pre-clean it right there. And they would have seen it. So it means that they skipped something. All right? So safety protocols must be followed. If they follow the safety protocols, this will not have happened. So you have to understand that you have to follow it. It's very important you follow safety protocols. Incorporate safety protocols into all your work practices. Types of occupational hazards, I've told you about it. We have the physical hazards, such as heavy lifting. We have the biological, infectious waste, blood-borne pathogens, and then chemical, which are the solutions, the cerulans that we use, the sprays that we spray on the instruments, patient care products. These are all hazards, right? They are chemical. We have these chemicals. Safety protocols are there to mitigate it. Take good care of those and make good use of them. Specific work area hazards. That's what I've just told you about. Does anyone have any question about these hazards? Because I've repeated it over and over, and I'm not going to stay too long on those. Understanding risks and safety protocols. You have to understand it to be able to take care of that. Okay? And this is a repetition of the slide because it's something that you have to do religiously. All right? You have to do that religiously. And from that, I think I'll have to go back and talk about how severe this ergonomic, especially on your body, we have these ergonomic safeguards, and how serious they are. Because if you want to be safe, your body should be number one to you. And we've talked about those heavy lifting and stuff. But what I want you to understand is the number and severity, okay, of ergonomic injuries can be reduced if the work environment and the work practices are effectively adjusted. So you have to make sure that where you are standing, the sink that you're using, somebody else stood there, used the sink, but yours comfortable, but you may be using it and not being comfortable. It needs to be adjusted. There should be something that has to be done to it. So you don't just take it that, oh, this guy is doing it, so I should do it. No, that's why I'm going back to the ergonomic issue. Your body has to be comfortable there. And that is one of the ways you can minimize the risk of those ergonomic risks that will come up. So take appropriate steps to minimize risk and follow safety protocols, which is always the underlying factor, that safety. Follow the protocols that are there. The role of the I2S technicians, like you see that you must understand potential hazards, which I've spoken about it and mentioned everything to you. Pay close attention in work areas. Look at the signs. Even before this chapter, I told you, read everything that you see, all the notices, all the signs on the walls, on the doors. You see a sign here, don't ignore it, read it. Maybe it's a sign that if you cross this line, your head is going to be cut off. Read it. Don't cross it and get your head cut off because you're not going to be able to return. All right? So read all signs. Pay close attention in work areas. False sense of security. Don't think that everything is perfect. Believe that accidents won't happen. Creates false security. Incorporating safety protocols in your daily work and all your life, it's something that will save you. Don't have a false sense of security that everything is in place. No. Any questions? Any questions? All right.
No.
Okay. I'm happy you guys understand this very well. So these are the hazards again that I'm not going to stay on. So general safety hazards, overview of common safety risks. I've told you that anywhere you go, there's a risk. Joining the plane is a risk. Joining the car is a risk. Even your own home, even when you're eating, it's a risk. All right? Drinking is a risk. Even drinking water is also a risk. You have to drink it rightly, right? Drink it the right way. Put it in a glass, drink it gently and safely. Don't rush. Don't just try to swallow the whole glass at a time. What is going to happen? You realize water will be streaming from your nose. Is that safe for you? No. Okay? So there's risk everywhere. So what you have to do is to look out for this risk, and wherever you go, there's always safety protocols, especially at the SPD. All right? Make sure you are following the safety protocols. Not because somebody is doing something wrong and it's convenient, you also want to do it. No. Rather inconvenience yourself and be safe than to talk of convenience and be unsafe and get yourself in the risk zone. You have to, you said that talking of the specific hazards by work area, I told you we have all these departments. We'll be looking at them one by one. But as we mentioned earlier, the decon is the most risky area in our department. It's the most risky. Although even in the clean side, if a heavy instrument should tumble on your foot, that's another headache. We think that because of the microorganisms and the pathogens in the decon, we think it's more riskier than being in the clean side. But trust me, the clean side too, things can fall, sharps can prick you, anything can happen there too. So don't say that it's safe. As I said, don't have a false sense of security. Every area has a level of risk there. So safety protocols must be your number one. All right? Any questions? All right, guys. So any questions at this point? So by minimizing injury risk, how do you think we're going to get it? We have to try and follow the safety measures so that we minimize injury risk. At my end, for the last, I can say as at like 6 months now, we've not had any injuries at my end. Even from the ORs, no. Especially on our shift, no. We've not had any injuries it's over 6 months now. The last time we had an injury, it was in the OR when one of the scrub techs was waiting to like pull out all the plugs on a tower in the OR after a procedure. But then someone else that was supposed to wait for that to be done before he takes the tower from there, he moves the tower. He rather decided to unplug those plugs and pull the tower away. And that was where he got himself injured, got himself pricked by a sharp object. See? So the scrub tech said, this is not my fault. I'm doing my work, taking them gently and pulling them one after the other. So he should have waited for me to finish. But he decided to push the thing away, thinking that the guy had finished. No, you have to know that he's finished or talk to him about it, communicate. Can I pull this away? And he said, no, I'm still doing it. That would have saved him. But he didn't say anything to the scrub tech. He decided to just push the tower away, not knowing where he was going to put his finger. There was a sharp object there that had not been unplugged. See, that was a phaco handpiece, all right, with a sharp end on it. So, and that's about 6-7 months ago. So since that time, we've not had any mishap there. But those are the kind of things that we have to ensure that doesn't happen so that we all be safe. Any questions? All right. So the general physical hazards that I mentioned, you see that it goes back to the ergonomic stresses because everybody sees you at the center of this SPD. So your body and how it takes care of the stresses is one thing that we always want to highlight. The ergonomic stresses, one, force, heavy lifting or manipulating equipment. There are some there are some trays that are more than 25 pounds. All right. And it's not easy. Look at like you taking out your bag to your suitcase to the airport. And look at lifting one of them 25 pounds or I think some bags are 50 pounds, right? So lift them and see how it is. And if you're lifting one tray that is 25 pounds, you'll see how it is. It's heavy. If it goes beyond above your weight level, it's not easy to lift. All right. And those are the things that we consider in the ergonomic stresses. Don't overdo those things. There are ways that we do this heavy lifting. All right. So the number one, we say the force, heavy lifting or manipulating equipment is an ergonomic stressor. The repetition, using the same motion frequently. Like I told you that some people, like in the factory, picking mangoes on the trail, packing mangoes into a box where the conveyor belt keeps going round with the mangoes, and you're picking specific mangoes. So all you're doing is picking from there, which is repetitive. And when you do this repetition, the same motion frequently, it becomes an ergonomic stressor. All right, it can affect your body. Okay, and then the awkward positions, reaching or twisting while lifted. Like, oh, this tray is right behind me. Instead of you getting up from the chair and going to lift it, you rather want to sit on the chair, twist yourself, and lift that tray. That is no good. You put yourself in an awkward position. Reaching and twisting while lifting, it's not a good thing. That could bring about an ergonomic stressor. All right, and then vibration, which is rapid oscillation of the body. It happens when you are in there, you feel it. All right, and then contact stress, where we have sharps and stuff. At times, because of the gloves that you have, it will prick you, but it's not able to penetrate it, but you still sense it. Okay, that's contact stress. And then we talk of potential injuries, which is ligament sprains, joint and tendon inflammation, where you go home and complain of, oh, my ankle, my knee, this part. You feel the pains and your joints. All right, those are potential injuries. Pinched nerves, herniated spinal discs. All right, and we have to find a way to reduce all this so that you can work and work effectively. Because if you have all these problems staring at you and getting you, there's no way you're going to be able to work. But if people have been working for years, as Professor John was talking about, and Professor Mike was talking about times that they've been in here, it's doable, it's workable. Those safety protocols are effective. So we have to follow that so that we can take care of all these ergonomic stresses, and our body will be as good as it has to be over the years that we're going to work there. All right? So the concerns here, the vibration and contact stress, the rapid oscillation of the body that I said, sometimes, I don't know, when you get in there, you feel it. You'll be sitting and you see that after a while, some part of your body will be vibrating. All right? It's going to happen. But the point is that there are safety precautions. Okay? And then the contact stress, like the sharp edges, even like when you're cooking in the house, there are times that you position your finger somewhere that the knife may slice it a bit. You don't feel it until your body senses that the knife has penetrated something. They say, oh, my hand was there. My finger was right there. Okay? Those are the contact stresses that you get. Continuous pressure between the body and the sharp edge. Okay? Those are things that you get there. I've told you it happens. It has happened to us before. Here we've just formalized it to make you remember that this is possible there. And when it happens there, we consider it as a contact stress. All right? So the general physical hazards we're talking of in ergonomics, what we do is changing the work conditions to reduce this physical stress. Okay? So this thing is something that we have to be always careful about, like twisting to lift a load, twisting to lift a tray. Don't do it. Put yourself in the right position to do the lifting. Don't be lazy. No. That is something that we call lazy work. Don't be lazy. Because by doing that, you are going to get yourself into these ergonomic stresses. You will be stressing your body ergonomically, which is not something to do. All right? So change your work conditions to reduce these physical stresses. Any questions? The risk of slips and falls. You see the sign here that says caution, wet floor. We see this all over the place. When janitors are doing their work, they have it. Go to the school, the classroom, the janitors have it all over. Go to the hotels, they have it everywhere. Wet floor, even in our apartments. We go to the corridors, you go to the restaurants. They're all over the place. They are very, very, very meaningful, and they are a safety protocol. They are a safety protocol because slip and falls are almost everywhere because of the kind of tiles that we use on the floors, our road side pavements, our snow, which is the weather when it comes to environmental issues. So slips and falls are all over the place. So with this, the risk of slip and fall is everywhere. But then with this big image that you see here, some of them are just notices that they put on. Some of just are like cones that they put there to help to notify you that there's a situation here. All right. These are preventive measures. So they have like common traffic areas where people are walking a lot. If there's any spillage there, it has to be taken right away, or something, or a caution or a preventive measure has to be taken right away. And that's what I said earlier, that even if I am walking in the hallway, even though it's not in my department, it's just the hallway that I got in the facility, and I see that there's a spillage, I have to see if there's maybe one of these cones or anything there, to put it there to alert other people, or call to the front desk right there and tell them, look, there's a spillage here. It has to be taken care of. Or if I know the janitor's office, I can go there right away and tell you, hey, come here, there's this thing there. But the point is, there are preventive measures which has to be used. So with you in your situation, in your department, if there's a spillage, make sure the right thing is done. If there's something to put on, put it on. If you have to wipe it in the decon and there's a device to do it, you do it right away. If you have to call the housekeeping, call them right away. All right, because we have to reduce the incidence of slips and falls. We have to prevent it. Don't let it even happen. And the only way we can let it happen is to ignore all these safety protocols. The preventive measures: park mobile equipment away from common traffic areas. It's like you carrying instruments, going like you transporting instruments, and you see that like from my unit to the OR, some ORs are just next door, which is like 3 meters in between. All right, if I want to carry an instrument, transport it to that point, I have to expect that I may meet somebody, I may meet a surgeon, I may meet a scrub tech, I may meet them also carrying their carts going in between ORs. I have to plan for that. I don't just take it and bump out and go. Boom. What if I run into somebody else? I contaminate everything, I hurt somebody, I injure somebody. All right. And then what about me carrying these same instruments on the tray and on the cart and leaving it in the middle of the in between my my SPD and the OR? I can't do that. I have to put it at a safe place so that everybody walking by, the doctors passing by, the nurses, everybody has the space, enough space to walk. And I don't have to leave it there because I don't want it to be contaminated. So I have no choice but to maybe leave it back in the SPD if I'm not going to the OR. Okay, so I can't park my mobile equipment from in common traffic areas. You don't have to do that. Keep areas with frequent wet floors as dry as possible. And that is one of the places is the decon. Make sure your floor is dry. Don't wait and say that, oh, it's wet, but I have to wait for the housekeeping guys to come. Find a way to mitigate it before they even come to do it, so that you yourself don't slip and fall there. All right? Wipe spills immediately. And in the decon, you can do it. We have all these racks there. We have all these towels and stuff. Mitigate the situation. Don't wait till there's a slip and fall. Okay, and remember, you're going to be lifting instrument trays from the sink into the washer. You can't afford that. You'll be holding this instrument trays from the sink, trying to put them in the washer, and you slip. What is going to happen? These are sharp edges and heavy metals. Imagine that. What will happen? You want that to happen to you? Somebody should explain that to me. You carrying a tray, like a 25-pound tray of instruments from the washer, from the sink into the washer, or maybe from the washer, you carrying it to the window. If you slip and fall, what will happen? Somebody should tell me. Somebody should just imagine that and tell us all. What do you think will happen? What will happen? You carry the 25-pound instrument that has been washed. It has been washed. It contains heavy mallets and sharp edges, and then you slip and fall carrying this instrument set. What will happen?
You may get hurt by the instruments.
Definitely. It's not even that we have to take the may out of it. You will get hurt by the instruments. All right? Because if it tumbles on you, there are sharp objects, there are hooks in there. There are hooks, there are mallets, there's knife handles. And the hooks, the weight liners, they are very sharp, super sharp hooks. They are skin hooks. Okay? You don't even want to dream about that. So if there's a little spillage down there, how costly is it to you to clean it, wipe it off immediately, than to wait to get a slip and fall there to experience that? You don't have to. Those are the safety protocols. So when you see it, Do it as soon as possible. Take a safety measure to make sure that you are actually mitigating this kind of risk. And that way you're managing the risk. We're doing risk prevention or risk management. Are we all on the same page? All right. So they tell you that even to stay safe, these are recommendations that they're giving you. Wear non-slip footwear. Pay attention to slippery floors. Use signage to alert people. As I told you, if it's a cone, just get it, put it there. Make sure people see that this is a wet floor. All right. But the best thing is, especially if you are in that area and it's possible that you can wipe it, as is in the SPD, take care of that. Don't wait till you or your colleagues slip and fall. Any questions? Then electrical safety concerns. Electrical safety concerns. You see the images there, you see the cables there, the wires that you see, they're all broken. They are exposed. Do you think it's safe to use this kind of wires? What will happen if you're using, let's go back to our homes and look at this. We have electrical irons that we use in ironing our clothes, right? If your iron at home has this kind of cord on it, this broken cable on it, what will happen if you use it?
Shock.
Shock, electrical shock. So imagine that. Do you want to use that on your job? No, you don't want to use that. So these burns and shocks from electric equipment can be prevented. When you see that it's broken, what do? Alert your supervisors, tag it, and let's take it out of service right away. Okay? And this is why you have to inspect these electrical cords. Ensure the cords are intact with no breaks in insulation. These ones are, the insulations are all broken. The cords, the cables themselves are exposed. Okay? So these things have to be inspected as part of your job. Plugs and outlets, look at them. Some of them, the plugs are bent already. Please tag it and put it out of service. Don't endanger yourself. Plugs and outlets must be 3-pronged and grounded. You look at the American version of plug, like most of our computers come with plugs that have only 2 pieces on them, right? But under normal circumstances, health service of our facility equipment require 3 plugs. Do you all understand what I'm saying about those 3 plugs? 3 plugs on them, the 3-pronged plugs. All right. Most of our computers have only 2, like our cell phone chargers. When you look at the plug, it's only 2 pins on there. And then when you look at some computers come with 3 pins on their plug. All right. If you look at the sockets on the wall, you see 3 holes on it. Do you all see that? Do you all get that?
Yes.
Good. Those 3 holes are what the hospital requires. We need those 3 kind of holes, plugs that fit those 3. Not just the 2. We want the 3 so that it's grounded. Those that know a little bit about electrical installations and stuff will be able to explain this better. So look at your phone charger has 2 plugs. No, the hospital wants the 3-pronged ones with 3 pins on the plug. So all plugs must be 3-pronged and grounded. The 3-pronged, the 3rd piece, which is always the bigger plug, the bigger piece, should be connected. It should not be just there to get into the hole. It must be connected to ground. That's what technically they call it. It must be grounded. All right? So if you are inspecting and look at it, make sure the plug has 3 pins on it. That's what they're telling us. All plugs must be 3-pronged and grounded. Outlets must accommodate these plugs. So if you look at the hospital walls and all our electrical outlets and plugs there, they all have the 3 holes. All right? So that is something that you have to always remember. Most of the time, we use the 2 pins for our phones and our computers. And the hospital, we require the 3-pronged and grounded plugs. Okay? So that's one of your responsibility to inspect these cords for the break and the plugs for bent prongs. That is the only way you can help mitigate electrical safety concerns there. Any questions? All right, it's 4:08. Do you guys want us to take a break at 4:15 or you want us to continue? So we can finish early.
You could continue.
Okay, if that's the general consensus, that's it. We're gonna continue so we can finish early. So we're talking about sharps and concerns here. Nobody wants to be cut. Nobody wants to be injured by a sharp, by a hook. And I'm telling you from experience that the hooks are super sharp. The skin hooks, they are super sharp. The knives, the blades are super sharp. Okay, so you don't want to be, you don't even want to encounter them. And that's why we're telling you. Those are our concerns. So the risk of sharp injuries can occur in any area of the SPD, not only at the decon. At the assembly point is even the worst. Like I told you that one was able to get through with the scalpel and the blade on it all the way to the assembly table. See, so I wasn't safe there either. So that risk can happen anywhere in the SPD. It includes cuts, puncture wounds, lacerations, and abrasions. So always be on your guard, be alert. All right. The potential consequences are that it's going to break the skin surface, which as I told you about the hook. Don't think that the hook, like pricking you, just pricked you and it's closed. No, it's not closed. There's a break in the skin surface. All right. And that exposes you to disease, especially in decontamination area. Even though you don't see that anything came out, there is a break. There was a break after that hook touched your skin. There was a break in the skin surface. Okay? So those are the kind of concerns that you must always be thinking of if you're going to the SPD. All right. And then now we talk about the general chemical hazards, which I made mention of the common, like the cassettes that we use for the sterilization machines, the sterile machines. Okay? We use these cassettes with hydrogens in them. But then the point is the hydrogen peroxide and stuff. We don't have to get exposed to all this. And also the BIs that we use, the biological indicators that we use, the chemical indicators that we use. We don't have to be exposed to them. And so we can consider them as risky, just that they have been put or engineered in a way that we don't get exposed to them easily. I don't say we can get exposed to them like that, but then anything can happen. But under normal engineering that they've put in place, as of now, they're not easy to get exposed to. All right? That doesn't mean that you should not be careful. Be careful and handle them as per the IFU, the information for use. All right? Chemicals are primarily found in the decontamination area. Hazards may also be present in other department areas. Eye protection requirements. Eye injuries often caused by splashing chemicals. All right? Maybe you need to replace a detergent, and then by opening it, it splashes into your eyes. There are wash stations to take care of that. But is that supposed to happen? No. If you follow the safety protocols, that should not happen. Because remember, you're going to have your PPE and your goggles on before you even open that chemical. All right? So those are the safety protocols. That is why you have to respect the safety protocols. Eye protection requirements is there. By injuries, often caused by splashing chemicals. The eye injuries, it must not happen if you're following your PPE. You have your PPE and you are well dressed up with your PPEs and suited. You should be good with those splashing. And then eye wash stations are there for you to use anyway. They are required in areas with potential chemical injuries. So when you go to the SPD, we have eye wash stations in the decon and also in the clean side. Any questions? Hazardous substance list. I think the book has it. I have to check for the page for you guys. But each state categorizes certain chemicals and substances as hazardous. So maybe in Jersey, there will be a substance that is not categorized as a hazard, but maybe New York, yeah. All right. So that doesn't mean that you should not consider them as hazardous. So long as one state has taken it, defined it as being, characterized it as being hazardous, it should be hazardous. But the point is, it's not our job to define it. It's our job to stay safe and actually follow safe protocols and mitigate all these risks and concerns. So the CS department should have an accessible and current list of such substances. Most facilities have a computerized hazardous chemical list, which you can have access to those computers and check on your own and maybe print a copy, which I will do. If I have it, I'll print a copy. So if you need it, go check that and print a copy for yourself. That way, you know that you can refer to it anytime that you want. All right. Employees must understand these safety procedures for hazardous tasks. If you're operating the sterilizer, you have to understand the hazards about this sterilizer. Okay, you have to understand it. If there's an alert on it, what does it mean? You have to understand it. If it's hot, where do I read the temperature and how do I confront that? Okay, you have to understand it. Information about hazards, PPE, safety measures, and emergency response must be provided. That is the job of your supervisor or your manager. But if it's not there, ask for it. Or if it's there and you haven't seen it, ask for it. But it must be provided. Employees should minimize hazards through ventilation, respirators, and emergency procedure rehearsals, which we have at our end. We spoke about the air exchanges and the negative pressure and all that. These are all engineered to minimize. Hello? Okay, these are all engineered to minimize these hazards, all right? And then OSHA regulations come in. There we talk about container labeling. You know, there are times that we pour chemicals from bigger containers to smaller containers. Yes, there's something that you have to be careful if you're doing that at the SPD. All right? The container must be efficiently and effectively labeled. Labeling of hazardous containers must specify the contents and appropriate hazard warning. Include the name and address of the manufacturer. The secondary containers are the containers that we pour things into that maybe just for maybe one-time use. Or let me pour this container. You have to be careful when you're doing that. All right? You have to be careful when you do that because that could.
Jamel, can you unmute yourself?
Can you please
You're
mute yourself?
the class.
All right, thank you guys. So the secondary containers are containers that you see like back home. Okay, like let me take it to the house. You have milk for your baby, and then you pour the milk from the gallon container into the baby feeding bottle. That's a secondary container. Are we all good with that? That's a secondary container, right? The milk was in the original milk gallon. Now you poured it into a baby feeding bottle. So the feeding bottle is a secondary container. But since it's a baby milk feeding bottle, everybody knows that that is milk. But in SPD, it's a different thing. If you pour something from the primary container to a secondary container, that secondary container should have a label that efficiently describes the chemical that you have put in. That's why they tell you it must specify contents and appropriate hazard warnings. And that's not something that we do at the SPD. We don't do that. Even if we're measuring stuff, we just measure, put in the container to measure, then pour it where it's supposed to go. We don't just put it in the secondary container like that. So don't practice that. You can just do that if you are measuring it to put in the sink or something. Make sure you don't leave it in the secondary container, because if you're leaving it in there, it needs all these specific contents and hazard warnings, which you cannot do. So don't practice secondary containers in there. The only time you're using it is measuring it and putting it where it's supposed to go, and that's it. Any questions about these secondary containers? I think my example was very clear. All right, so the safety data sheets. The safety data sheets. I think we've mentioned this over and over and over about the safety data sheets. Some areas, they call it the material safety data sheet. It's the same thing. All right? So it should not be something that will baffle you. It should not baffle you. But what are these safety data sheets? It says product identification, product name, manufacturer's details, item number, and synonyms. List of hazardous ingredients. That's what this safety data sheet is going to provide for you, okay? They contain important information about the product materials and properties that employees must know to work safely with any given product. That's the safety data sheet, okay? It tells you about the product identification, the list of hazardous ingredients, the physical data, the fire and explosion information on it, the reactivity data, which is the stability, and what its incompatibility is, and its decomposition products. And then it talks about the health hazard data, which is the effect of its overexposure. And then storage recommendations. All right. So the safety data sheet has all this for you. It's similar to the IFU. The safety data sheet is actually giving you how you can stay safe with this instrument or this chemical. All right. If it spills, what do? It's all going to be on the safety data sheet. Protection information. You know that even like with our mechanics, changing oil in the car. See, like, and some mechanics stay on the wayside and then be working on cars, exposing this oil and brake fluids and transmission fluids all flowing on the street, going onto the natural air. No, it's unacceptable. Those are considered like what is it? Lubricants that are not supposed to be exposed to like natural environments like that. But it's happening here. It's a hazard. All right. You see this mechanics working on the wayside, exposing dirty oil and all those things on the street, draining into the drainages down there, going onto under the trees, the plants. No, it's unacceptable. They are hazardous. But the point is, who is observing it, who is supervising it, who is taking care of that? But in our situation, we cannot joke with any of those things. And the safety data is going to tell you if this thing spills, this is how to take care of it. So even with the mechanics, if there's a safety data sheet, you should be able to tell them if they spill oil on like a natural surface or playground or something, there should be a way to remedy. That will be part of the safety data sheet. All right, any questions? Employee monitoring. You see the image here has a device hanging next to, very close to the neck of whoever is wearing it. All right. These are monitoring devices to monitor certain things, certain exposures that you could get yourself into while doing this job. All right. OSHA has permissible exposure limits, which you normally see on the charts as PELs, permissible exposure limits. So this one are set for this chemical exposures that you may go into. This the monitoring device is going to measure how many ppms that you have been exposed to. All right, and there's always a level. The National Institute of Occupational Safety and Hazards recommends that the exposure should be under 0.1 ppm over an 8-hour shift. And then the ACGIH recommends that the highest or the ceiling value should be 0.05 ppm. So you see, these are all guidelines for us. This is especially for the glutaraldehyde exposure recommendations. All right. And then the OSHA has set for chemicals like ethylene oxide, hydrogen peroxide, and ozone, which we all work with, most of them, especially the hydrogen peroxide. All right. OSHA requirements for healthcare facilities include providing adequate ventilation systems, establishing safe work operating procedures, providing personal protective equipment, and then implementing methods to ensure occupational exposure limits are not exceeded. These are the kind of limits that they've put, the 0.1 ppm and then the 0.05, so that if that is a 0.01, the device that is hanging next to your neck should be able to read it. And then if it goes beyond this, that means there's been a breach. So the action record, it has to be recorded and action must be taken to make sure that we remedy your situation. All right. The fire triangle. Before, like the essentials of things that have to be present for a fire include a combustible or flammable substance, a source of oxygen, and a source of ignition. All right. So if there's a fire, the way to remedy the fire is to cut off one of these things. If you are able to control the combustible or the flammable substance or whatever is the burning object, you control the fire. Or if you're able to cut the oxygen supply to the wherever the fire is, you definitely control the fire. Or if you're able to cut the source of the ignition where the fire was sparking from, you could control the fire. So these are the three essential elements for fire. And that's what they call the fire triangle. You need a combustible, flammable substance, and then you need a source of ignition, like sparking a match, all right? See that the normal matches that we use, you spark it, or the lighter. If you spark it, it lights a fire. It has all the three elements there. So when it spikes it, there's an ignition, and there's oxygen around, and there's a chemical in the lighter, right? That is coming out. So with that chemical or that oxygen coming out, and then the sparking, igniting it, you get a combustible or the flammable substance on top. And then your fire is set. As soon as you turn your hand off, you cut off something. Either you cut off the ignition or you cut off the oxygen, the fire turns off. Do you all understand that? So let's say you have a fire in your house, you have a stove that is on, or maybe you light a match onto a paper, a dry substance, and it starts burning because it's consuming the oxygen in the air right there. If you want to cut it off, cut oxygen off, you can cover the burning paper complete with a bowl. You're going to seize the oxygen going in, and then the fire is going to cut off. That means you took the source of oxygen off, and then you're able to control the fire. That's one way to control fire. Or the ignition, the match that you were sparking. If I don't let you spark the match, the light is not going to come on. I control it. If I wet the paper, which is the combustible or flammable substance, if I wet it, it's not going to be flammable anymore, which means the fire is going to cut off. Anyone has a question about that, the fire triangle? It is just to tell you that when you eliminate one of these elements of fire, you can control the fire. Any questions? Because fire is also considered as a hazard at the workplace. It can happen anywhere. No questions? Good, because we are relating to this in practical terms. So to prevent fire, at least one of the elements in the triangle must be eliminated. That's what you need to remember on this slide. So fire hazards, the fire triangle elements, I just mentioned that. Fire and explosions. This occurs when temperature of a flammable substance is raised high enough. And that's why I was telling you about the dryness of something. And if it's dry and the sun is hot outside, what is going to happen? It's going to dry more, and the thing is going to get heated. So the more heat it gets easier to be set on fire. So it occurs when the temperature of a flammable substance is raised high enough. Then it said, one time somebody was asking me, how come during the dry weather, that just hot sunlight can ignite the start of fire? And I said, look, you have to understand it. This is in science. You have to understand that the temperature of that flammable dry grasses there is raised high enough. So when there's a reflection from any other angle, it could ignite it to catch fire. All right? And so we have to understand all this. I know those that did experiments in science, they will be able to explain this further more than I've done, talking about how they could reflect fire, like heat, through a mirror to reflect it to another position and try to ignite fire somewhere. All right? They do all that. Those science students may be able to explain it better to you. But my simple explanation here is that you need these three elements. If you control one of those elements, you'll be able to control the fire. Okay? So combustible loading in hospitals. Disposable materials contribute to heavy combustible loads, burnable loads, fire-catching loads. Okay? So high-risk areas include the central storage. We have so many things in there. The OR has a lot of gas tanks there. Delivery suites, nursing units, and trash handling facilities. The trash handling facility is even the worst because even people throw lighted cigarettes in there. Okay? So look at all that. These are what we call the combustible loading in the hospitals. The high-risk areas include our area. Then the OR with all these cylinders there, the gas cylinders, gas tanks, with all these electricals, these light bulbs that are so hot, that are so like high-tech, so many things in there, all right? And then the nursing units with all this life-saving apparatus in there, okay? And we have all these towers combining so many things, so many gases at a time, all to save life, all right? So this is why we need a healthcare safety program to take care of all this, to make you understand that, look, we are at the point where we can expect fire hazards all the time. So we have to respect our safety protocols. Any questions? Minimize combustible loads. That is for us to do. We have to, if we want to reduce the risk, we should reduce the combustible loads. Prime rule of fire protection: don't give fire a place to start. That is a prime rule of fire protection. Don't give fire a place to start. Strategies to minimize this will include: ensure single-use items are safely stored in areas with proper temperature and humidity. All right? Minimize volume of combustible substances, even with adequate storage facilities. The point is, the more you keep them, the greater the risk will be. So we have to minimize the volume of these combustibles, especially at the DECON or at the SPD. Okay? Minimize trash buildup with an adequate trash handling program. So at my end, when we go to work, all the time that we're there, you see these trash guys going back and forth, pushing trash truck from here, the trash. They're making sure that they don't have a trash build up. All right. So I can say that there at the NYEE, we have an adequate trash handling program where they're always taking it. Always. You see them as we are there, they are always going back and forth, taking it. Okay. Use covered trash containers, which we do. All right. Of non-combustible construction and adequate volume at each trash generation site. That is not for you to do, but you should be able to watch out if it's not being done. Fire response plan. Importance of fire response plans. How do you do or save yourself when there's fire? Why do you think? What is the importance of it? When you go to your house, you have these smoke alarms, smoke detectors in your house. When you go to the hospital, we have them. Every now and then you hear there's an alert on the radio, on the intercom, telling you code so and so, code what. They all are response plans, okay? And the importance of this fire response plan is that every healthcare facility requires a comprehensive plan. Staff members must know their specific roles. So when they say code 1, you should understand what the code 1 is. Fire safety training begins at new employee orientation. So as you're getting ready to be employed, there will be a fire safety training, which you must take very serious so that you can understand the codes when they are used. All right. Fire safety devices are like the sprinklers that you have throughout the buildings, the smoke detectors, as I mentioned, that you even have some at your homes, fire extinguishers that will be hanging at all corners and labeled, and then role of you on how to make sure this plan works. All right, you must know where they are and why they are there, and such that when there's a problem, you know which way to go. Any questions? Workplace violence. Now we left fire. We are on workplace violence. You have to recognize warning signs. At my job, I don't think I've seen anything there these years that I've been there. I've not seen anything like workplace violence there, especially in my department. No. What we do is we do birthday parties. So we don't have workplace violence there. We chat, we talk with everybody, we do things that are so much of fun. All right, it's more like a family. We had a lady that came from stores temporarily, and a couple of, I think it's about a month that she had to leave because on a maternity leave. This girl came to me saying, "Charlie, I'm going to be leaving. Today's my last." And she broke down, was weeping. I said, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Charlie, I may not be coming back here. They'll take me to another place." I said, "Oh, don't worry. Okay, we'll try to keep in touch with you." You see how we have become like family. All right? We don't do workplace violence, and you don't need it. We need peace of mind and happiness to work. We don't need it. We should be like family when we are there. So recognize warning signs. Report direct threats of violence or retaliation to management immediately. Don't sit on it and say, "Oh, I can take care of it. Don't worry, I'll take care of that." No, we don't do that. All right? We don't do that. Note unusual, threatening, or disconcerting behavior, statements, or attitudes. Understand facility policies. You are aware of specific policies on workplace violence, and this they will tell you on your onboarding, like your orientation to start work. They will give you all this. Attend education programs on prevention and response. If one of you have been a teacher before here in New York, you know, you would have experienced all training sessions for this kind of violence and bullying, child abuse and stuff, series of training to mitigate all this. That DOE does all that. And here they are, the orientation, they'll give you all that too. Reporting and prevention. Report direct threats. That one you have been encouraged to do it. Talk to your supervisor or talk to your director. Don't take it as, oh, I'm reporting somebody. You are saving yourself and saving your colleagues. All right? Immediately report any direct threats of violence or retaliation to management. Oh, I told you to do this. You didn't do it. Okay, I'm going to get you. I'm going to find a way to put you in trouble. If you see that, report to your supervisor as soon as possible. Don't wait till it gets to the worst. All right? Note unusual behavior. Observe and note behavior, statements, or attitudes that are unusual, threatening, or disconcerting. Understand facility policies. Is this allowed at my job? Or is that not allowed on my job? I should not do it. There are certain things that you have to understand the policy there before you can accept whether this one you're doing to me is good or it's not. But the point is, we all know good things and all know bad things. If you are threatened, please let your supervisor or director know. And also attend education programs. Most of us don't like to attend education programs on the job. When they are told that, oh, there's going to be this thing, they rather use that time to go and walk on the street. Go sign the paper and get out. No. Please save yourself and save others around you and save your family by attending these education programs. Participate in programs designed to provide information on prevention and response. Okay? So area-specific safety concerns. The decontamination area, personnel must wear PPE. Signage indicating PPE requirement. You see the signs that you see on the side here? Pay attention to them. And if you see somebody going against them, please caution that person that, hey, that area is not for you to go without a PPE. All right? Some people may act like they didn't see it, but if you're there, try to resolve it right away. Soil receiving a decontamination area, that's the same thing. Whether they call it soil receiving and decontamination is the same thing. It's the decon, that's it. Whether anything that comes there is soiled, whether it was used in the OR or not, so long as it was open with the patient in there, it's soiled. All right? There are pathogens on it and disease-causing pathogens and microorganisms on there. They are soiled. All right? Whether your eye sees it or not. Okay? So handling contaminated objects, we've done this over, we've said this over and over. Never reach into a basin or container holding contaminated objects unless they are clearly visible. Don't put your eye off and be putting your hands into the instrument set. Never do it. Never reach into a basin or a tray or anything, even in the sink. And that is why the chemicals we use in the sink, in the decon, they're always clear. Clear. We don't use so much instruments that cause so much salt or foam. And that way you're able to see in the water clear, very clear. Okay? So don't take your eyes off, putting your hand in there because you're looking at something and then dipping your hand into the basin or the sink with instruments in it. No, never do it. Use sponge forceps to grasp objects or pour out any solution that prohibits visual examination. You have the sponge, you see it. It's the sponge forceps is more like, oh, look at it. When we're having parties, you see the device that you ladies use in fetching salad and stuff. Yeah, the sponge forceps is like that too. Okay, so it's just you take it, pick it up, and use that the sponge forceps to actually grasp objects and towels and those things, just to make sure that you are staying safe. It's a safe protocol. Okay. Foaming detergents, we don't use that much in our in the SPD because our water must be clear. So we don't use too much foaming detergents. Most of our foaming, our neutral detergents don't give up so much foam. Okay? That way the water is always clear. You see in there, whatever is in there, so that you don't just poke yourself with anything because you can't see through that water. All right, we don't use, and we know that foaming detergents could actually retard the cleanliness of the process of cleaning the instruments. So we don't use that much of that. And then the processing reusable sharps. Know how to process them. Take good care of it. Make sure it doesn't cut you. Handle it properly. The use of chemicals. We know all the chemicals in there that we're supposed to use. Some are supposed to go into the washer. The washer has its own loading points where we load these chemicals in there, refill them, or replace the whole container. And then the chemicals that we use in measuring and testing these instruments, these washers in the morning, you have to know how to do them if it's on your shift. All right. The operation of the equipment, you have to know it. Walking and floor safety. I told you about it. No room for slip and falls. So be very, very cautious. Handling trash and sharp containers. Make sure the sharps go into the sharp containers. The trash goes into the trash. Don't just dump it anywhere. We don't do that. All right. Disarming scalpel blades. And that is what I told you, that a scalpel blade came through all the way to the inspection table, the assembly table. Disarm scalpel blades. It's not for you to do it because they're supposed to disarm it before it gets to you. But if it comes there, which it will be coming, it comes there, try to disarm it by taking it off the blade handle, the scalpel, which is the blade handle. All right. Cleaning instruments in a sink. Make sure that's what you're doing. A lot of times we expect you to brush the instruments underwater, not above the water, because of the release of aerosols as you brush it above the water. Try as much as possible to always make sure you brush the instruments under the water, not on top of it, to actually control the release of aerosols. Okay? Cleaning instruments in the sink is one good thing. And then work surface levels. Make sure your work surface levels are clean and you're keeping them clean, disinfected all the time. Preparation and sterilization areas. Now we've moved from the decon. We're going to the sterilization areas. What do we do there? Move sterilizer carts to low or no traffic areas. I keep saying this. The traffic areas is not about the street traffic or the cars coming. That areas where people walk the most, where these workers walk, where the doctors pass by, where the nurses walk, where the scrub techs go back and forth with their carts. All right. Those areas are high traffic areas. Find a low traffic area to put your carts. Okay. So that you don't get people bumping into it, injuring people, because all you're trying to do is to stay safe and keep everybody safe. That reduces the risk of co-workers coming in contact with hot carts. All right? And our carts are super hot. Imagine the thing goes in for 270 degrees, maybe some 275. When it comes out, at least it's 180 degrees when you're pulling it out. So imagine you just pull this out, rest it. There's no sign on it that says it's heavy. This person just walks from this scrub tech walks from the OR, is in a hurry, and then he bumps into it. What happens? It gets bent. All right? 180 degrees is no joke. And you may imagine the cart is made of steel. It bumps into this steel cart that's 180 degrees plus. It's not a good thing. Keep sterilizer doors closed when not in use. This is one problem that I was always struggling to get over. We have smaller sterile autoclaves, sterilization autoclaves at my place, where the housekeeping guys were always trying, like in the winter time, when they go to their room, then they open it. But we know that we're supposed to keep it closed when it's not in use. So you go and empty it, close it, go to the clean side, go and put it in storage. The next time you come back, it's open. So I said, I couldn't understand it. Is this thing operating itself, or what was happening? Or is there a ghost coming to push this thing? So later on, I observed that, any time that you go and it's open, is the time that they have gone in there to mop the place. So if you go right after they leave that place, you see that the floor is still wet and then the autoclave is open. So I had to talk to them that, hey, man, this is what we do. And according to our regulations, this thing has to be closed when it's not in use. You don't need to leave it open because you want your floor to dry quick or whatever reason. It must be closed, and we have to follow it. And since then, it stopped happening. All right? So we have to always keep that. You have to put it in your head that you, as the professional, keep your sterilizer doors closed when not in use. So after you empty it, please close it before you leave. All right. This protects your coworkers from hot inner door. All right. Because it's gonna warm up the whole place. It's very hot. Cause caution with heat sealers. Heat sealers. Sealers are those that actually keep the heat, that maintain the heat, that trap the heat in the system. Those heat sealers, you gotta caution yourself because they are always hot. You have to follow the manufacturer's instructions. Some of the autoclaves, when the door comes down, the seal pops up a little bit. So at times when you closing it again, you see that the door may go and hit it and stop. It's not your job to touch that seal right there. Leave it for a while, let it cool down. All right, and then it's gonna go back. Okay, so be careful with those heat sealers. Follow manufacturer's instructions. Be cautious with cutting edges too. Prepare paper, plastic packs carefully. Because remember, you pouching hooks, you pouching knife handles, you pouching so many things that have sharp edges. If you are pouching those things, be careful. All right? Like the eye instruments that come, we have the jeweler forceps that are very pointed, that like they're very, very sharp, the jeweler forceps. So if you are pouching them, at times you have to put protectors on the tips. All right? So you have to be cautious with these cutting edges and those sharp things. Prepare paper, plastic packs carefully. And we always put it in a way that the opening point is where we put the handling and the actual handle point. So wherever you're sealing is the end point. When it goes to the OR, you're going to open it from the other side. So that other side is where the opening is the opening point. So when you are packaging it, you make sure the handle goes towards the opening point so that when they open it, they just have access to the handle. So you have to be cautious with that. Test instruments for sharpness cautiously, which we do, but a lot of times we have preventive repairs that we do. Like at our end, we have a company, Escolab, that we send our staff to. Most of the time when they come, the scissors are resharpened. Those that are out of service, they take them out. Those that are no good anymore, those that have cracks, they take them out. But always do that inspection to make sure you are on the right track. All right, test these instruments for sharpness cautiously. Use proper lifting techniques. I told you before, don't go and break your waist there. You need your waist, not just for the hospital, but for home too. Right or wrong? Somebody should tell me, is that right or wrong? You need your waist, not only for the hospital, but also for home. Is that right or wrong?
That's right.
That's right. Very right. You see that the men were the ones that answered quick, right? The women don't want to talk about that.
They are shy. They are shy.
That is right. All right. So don't do any reckless lifting. All right. Use proper lifting techniques. Follow procedures for biological indicators. I've told you those biological indicators, if they crack open, they are deadly. Don't do that. They are safely engineered. That so far, I've not heard any of them cracking at my premise, at my facility. It's not easy to crack. They may drop, they may do anything. They are encased within other cases, so they don't just crack easily. But exposure of it is not good. So you should know how to handle them by the IFU. Okay? Use proper lifting techniques and follow procedures for biological indicators. Not just the biological indicators, the chemical indicators. You know, one mistake that at times we make is that we talk about steam sterilization, and when the instrument comes, at times the instrument is wet, and we still want to put the indicator in there because it's a steam sterilization process, so it doesn't have to be too dry to put in. But I've seen it. I tried it one time. You know what I did? I had a wet Recite instrument, which is an eye surgery instrument that has 2 lenses in there and some knobs in the telescope, microscope knobs. So what I did was it came wet. I didn't dry it, and then I put the indicator right in there to observe it and see what happens. You know, in another 10 minutes when I open it, the chemical indicator was wet already. And then you look at the IFU of the indicator, it must not go wet. If it goes wet, you're not going to get the right indication coming out. So I told myself that. So what was this? Why were they saying that I could put it in like that? So I advised myself, and since then, I keep drying those Recites to make sure the water is dry so that I can put the indicator in there. And I keep telling my colleagues to, no, this one wasn't good. If there's water in there, this is what is going to happen. The indicator will not come out good. And that was one way I managed to stop, to put an end to that. All right. So be careful with the biological indicators, all the indicators, the chemical indicators and everything. Be careful with them. Don't just say that it's steam so I can put it in there even if there's water. No, it's not going to work properly. The IFU will not even support that. All right. So follow procedures for these indicators. And then post proper signs and labels. Don't put a steam label on a sterile instrument. Don't put a sterile label on a steam instrument. It happens, but please make sure it doesn't happen. Most of the time, check it. If somebody does it, pull it out and correct it. Okay? Sterilizer safety. All right. It's a hot device. The autoclave is hot. I told you that even the low pressure sterilization was up to 131, right? Who remembers that? I told you it's not cold. The low pressure, we call it low pressure because it's not up to the 270. It's around 131. But if you're walking in the sun 100 degrees, look at how it feels. And that's just the sun. Okay? And even when you take this from the autoclave, the 180 degrees that it cools off from the steam, look at how it is. So even the sterile is hot. And when you go to the sterile machine, which is a low temperature sterilization thing, it's going to tell you, be careful with the electrodes in there. They may be very hot. Okay? There's a notice there. So always, when you're at the sterilizer, always put at the back of your mind that it's a hot device. Everything there is hot. Use caution to avoid burns when working with steam sterilizers. But I will even take the steam out and tell you, use caution to avoid burns when working with sterilizers. All right? That is my own copyright. Okay. Hydrogen peroxide sterilizer safety. They handle the H2O2 containers with care, all right? And these ones, some of them are like cartridges, like cassettes that we put in. Handle them with care. Don't just throw them anyhow, just push them anyhow, because anything could happen. They could get perforated, and then the H2O2, the hydrogen peroxide in there is going to come out. You don't want to be exposed to that. They've been well engineered, but also use safety precautions, all right? Handle the containers with care. Damaged containers may release the sterilant. You don't want it to happen. And we call it the cassette. You don't want that cassette to break while you are using it. Don't let it happen. So handle it with care. The ethylene oxide sterilizer safety, you know it, regulated by federal government since 1984. These regulations are supposed to keep you safe. OSHA established a 1 ppm PL and 0.5, as which I read this before, all right, for ethylene oxide. These are the basic, the barest minimum. If it goes beyond this, that's it. There has to be a report, and then they have to find a way. You've been exposed to it over the limit. We have to find a way to take care of that. All right, it has to be reported. So these standards have to be respected. And that is why OSHA and all those organizations are always regulating the sterile processing. They're still related to tasks like transferring or handling non-aerated goods. You know how we say that some sterilizations, you need aeration. Aeration is like allowing air to go through the instruments to get rid of a lot of the toxins or the chemicals that we use in sterilizing them. That's the aeration. All right. So there are some goods that don't need the aeration. There are some that need the aeration. So those that need it, if you are transferring or handling the non-aerated goods, you have to be very careful because they still have residue on them. All right. So always revise the chapters that we go through and see why some instruments and some methods require aeration before you can actually touch these instruments. All right. So be careful with the sterilizers. Supply, receiving, breakout, and storage areas. What I'll tell you here is when we receive packages at the SPD, at my end, we don't take a lot of packages unless the items that we order ourselves from our department. But those that we get from the stores in the hospital, we don't open the cardboards. They do that. But those that come directly to us, we go and open them separately elsewhere, dump the boxes before bringing the whatever is in them into our storage. All right? You cannot empty these boxes at the SPD. You cannot do that. They don't have to come in there. They have to be taken care of outside the SPD. and then you bring the products or whatever was shipped in into the SPD. So you see these boxes that they've packaged there, we don't keep these things in the SPD. All right. Areas where they have the central supplies complete, they have units that they keep these. They don't bring these units to the sterile department. It's a no-no. All right. You can do that. And then the optimal shelf arrangement. Most of the time at my end, we don't even get to this. But then we have to, where we keep our wrappers and stuff, we go and we have to arrange it methodically to make sure that you have enough space and then they're easy to have access to. And then when you need a certain type, you know how, oh, this one is this way, 36 is down here, 24 is over there, and this is how they are packed. You have to know that when you get there. But the point is that there's always a protocol there. When you go, follow that protocol, all right, to do all these arrangements. Safe access to upper shelves, depending on your height. If you are picking something from a shelf, you have to know how to access upper shelves. Those of us that are a little bit under 6 foot, we are easy. It's like easy for us to pick up stuff from 6 to 7 feet. But the point is, if you are like 5 foot, okay, take it to be 5. Your arms, stretching your arms up to 6 and 7 is not going to be that easy. All right? And that's where ergonomic stresses come in. Don't put yourself in that in harm's way. Don't risk it. Call someone, or there should be something at the job place to take care of that. Call someone else. A lot of times, there's a lady at my end. She come and say, she goes to the back. She's not a tech. She's not. She doesn't work at our department, but she comes. She's a scrub tech. So when she comes for instruments, she goes to the back and look at wherever the instrument is located, and they come to me. Then no, she will even come to me. She'll call me from there or call one of us. You look at, there are 2 of us who are a bit tall there. You call one of us, hey, I need your height. Can you come here? I need your height. All right. So that is it. She's not going to stress jumping to get this thing. You don't have to do that. All right. There's a way to get around all that. Make good use of that. Climbing on shelves is not acceptable. So use appropriate equipment like stripes and stands and ladders, which are always there. We have tools there. But the point is, if I'm there and you see that my height will help you, why don't you call me to just lift it for you? Okay? Just don't make it that, oh, you don't want to do it. No, but the point is, if it's up there that I can reach easily and ergonomically safe, just call me to do it for you. It's a normal thing. That's why we don't work in isolation here. All right? Handling bulk materials. There are times that we call one worker and say, oh, look, you guys take care of this. We have boxes down there. Go take care of it. It's normal. If you are assigned to do it, they will show you how to do that. It's a normal thing. You can do that. And then proper disposal of materials. They tell you, okay, after you do it, take it to the. I remember when I went at first, and we had to take some boxes, empty them, and then try to package it. I didn't know where to even take the boxes to. But then after I emptied them, the one guy came and said, oh, you need to just put them here. The housekeeping guys will come for it. So I waited a little while. The housekeeping guys came and I said, no, I want to go with you and see where I was supposed to take this to. And then they took me to the basement and to where I could put it. So I said, oh, okay, now I know. Next time, if you guys are not here, I can still come and put it there safely. All right. Those are the kinds that no book will tell you, that you should be able to do that when you go. Okay. Be very smart on the job. All right. So that you can do proper disposal of materials and then use your safety tips. Any questions? Okay. Equipment storage areas and equipment transportation. We've done this over and over. What I want you to know on this particular slide is where you see that caution sign. The slide. Do you all see it where my cursor is now? That must not happen. All right? That must not happen. That's all I want you to learn from this slide. See how they stack these things, the wrapped instruments? Here. Don't let it happen. What do you see there? Look at this and look at the bed here. So it was not even at the SPD. This is at the OR, right? This is at the OR because you see a bed right here. So this should be at the OR. But the point is, never stack wrapped instruments. You see, it's right. It says right underneath it. Don't do it. The storage area safety, high activity and limited space. Don't squeeze things into limited space. If it doesn't fit there, don't put it there because you're going to damage the wraps. Okay? And then you are going to compromise the sterility. multiple electrical outlets needed for charging. Go to my place is very good. Every corner there are chargers everywhere, down, bottom, everywhere. You need that for charging this equipment and stuff. That is a good thing. Compliance with electrical codes. There are some buttons there that tells you don't never turn off, never shut off. There are some plugs that are red. They say that, okay, this is just for emergencies. If it's no emergency, don't use those. All right? Okay. Adequate capacity and strength. They have all those voltages taped to them. You see it. Make good use of that. Don't take anything for granted in there. Rugged, easily controlled carts. They are there. Use it when they are supposed to be used. And then transporting supplies and equipment. Avoid excessive speed running with the carts. Don't do it. And yell to patients when you see patients coming. Just stop. Find a safe spot. Let them go. Yield to them like you yield to pedestrians when you're driving and making a turn. All right? There's no cap to ticket you on at the OR, but it's not safe for you to run into somebody. Okay? So use caution in doorways, hallways, and elevators. This hallway has reminded me of something that happened. Yeah, was it yesterday? I was in the hallway in front of the SPD, and a lady was coming. She's a scrub tech, and she was waving, hey, Charlie, how is it? And then one behind her, who was like another like 10 meters away from her, was also waving to me from that side. So I had to use my left hand to say hi to this one that was next to him by touching face bumping, and then raising the right hand to say hi to the one that was 10 meters away. So in another seconds, when the one that was at 10 meters away reached me, he said, Charlie, you know what? You have to go and stand for a mayoral position. You have to be a mayor because you say hi to everybody here. I said, oh my God. So you see how it is there. Things happen, but it's part of the job. Okay? It's part of the job. Don't bump into people, but be friendly and know where people are, and then know how to be courteous to people. All right? And so that in the doorways and the hallways, be sure you are being courteous to people. Do not block hallways or door access. At times I open the doors for this scrub tech to go through. What does it do to me? Nothing. It doesn't give me any, it doesn't take anything from me. All right? But I do it. Those are kind of safety tips for transporting equipment because they'll be carrying equipment. It's safer for me for them to go safely without compromising the sterility than letting them bang these things on the door, which is going to come back to me to reprocess anyway. Okay? Clerical and other workstations, you have to take care of them. Assembly work, perform at levels that minimize fatigue and strain. You know where you're going to be assembling your stuff? If that table is not comfortable or the chair is not comfortable, talk to your supervisor. Don't put yourself in any ergonomic stressing position. Your body is needed, okay? Floor mats, use fatigue mats in areas where employees stand to relieve leg strain, especially at the decon. Well, you can't sit and be washing, so most of the time you're going to be standing there. There are places we need, and at my job we have it, all right? We have floor mats that are in areas where we stand to relieve leg strain, which is very good. It works for us. And then appropriate chairs. As I said, if your chair is not comfortable, talk to your manager right away. Okay, ensure chair support employees' backs at computer, clerical, and instrument workstations. So you have to talk, make sure you are comfortable sitting and doing that work. And then item storage. Store frequent use items within easy reach to avoid upper body strain. Don't put it on top of something and then they come, and as soon as you put it there, they come and say, we need this. They have to stretch to get it. Let it be at an easy reach area if it's something that they call for frequently. Any questions? Okay, so far I think we're doing good. All right, so surgical service areas. Your responsibility there includes services in surgery and other procedural areas where they will call you for an instrument. At my end, we don't even take the instruments there, but when they call for it, we will have to go find the instrument and take it to the OR if we have to. At times, they will even call on the phone and it has to go ASAP, all right? Familiarity with hazards. Technicians should be aware of possible hazards in areas they visit. If I'm going to the OR, I have to be suited up and my mask, of which I always have anyway. Because I don't wait till I'm called to come to the OR to go and put a mask. I always have my mask on and my PPE and my hair gear and my shoe covers. I always have it on as soon as I go to work. So you have to be familiar with this hazard and make sure you are ready for it. Don't tell them, oh, I need to go dress up before I come. No, when they call you, you are ready to go. So you should be aware of the possible hazards in there. Safety policies and signage, the signs, read them. Observe applicable safety policies and signage. common hazards, many hazards in these spaces. Watch what you walk in, the floor, everything. Okay? There are times there'll be surveyors around surveying stuff. There'll be joint commission around. You don't know, but you have to observe whatever you see when you go there. Infection control may be around. You don't have to know that they are coming. So you have to have your PPE intact. Or when they meet you with an instrument set and no gloves on, that's a big trouble. One guy was fired because of that when I started working here. I think he was a nurse or something else. He was not from our department, but he was fired because he was handling a tray with no gloves. All right, that's by the way. So handling compressed gas cylinders, you may not be taking care of that, but that is the point. You see, like back home, people use this gas cylinders for cooking and those things. Here, we don't use that because we have centralized gas supplies. But in the ORs, we have these gas cylinders there. You see people carrying oxygen tanks around. Now they don't even use them anymore because they have more portable ones. All right. You are often involved in handling these kind of things and storing them. You have to know how to take care of them, and that is all by the IFU. The type of gases we are not even going to go into that now, but they may contain oxygen, nitrous oxide, helium, nitrogen, and other gases. You have to know what you are dealing with. If there's some information that you can't get, look for the IFU. Talk to your supervisor if you can't get it. He's going to help you get it. The safety protocols must be respected. Specific protocols should be used for each specific gas. So if they tell you this gas cylinder must always be standing, not laid or horizontally or anywhere, it has to be vertical, always leave it vertical. Compliance with safety regulations is very essential. Any questions? So our other areas of concern are the preventive maintenance program, where we take these instruments for maintenance outside. I told you before that at my end, there are other agencies that come for maintenance, but the one that I mostly do is for Escalab, where I send the ENT strays to Escalab, and we have stores. They also come and maintain instruments, and that's what we call the preventive maintenance program, which ensures optimal operation and function of this equipment. When you take it there, those that are out of service, they'll take them out. Those that are repairable, they'll repair them. Those that need sharpening, they'll sharpen them. All right. This is preventive maintenance program. We don't wait till they break down completely to send them there. And we do that at my end. We do that every Wednesday, every week. All right. So they pick it up early Thursday morning and it's back by the afternoon. So for processing, reprocessing. Okay. And then the implants, they come and refill it as soon as we call them. So those kinds are preventive maintenance programs, so that you're always in good supply of your instruments and other equipment. Right. This includes sterilizers, washer disinfectors, heat sealers, and other processing equipment. The routine inspections and servicing by certified personnel is something that the management will be doing, or you, your director, has to take care of that. But a lot of times I'm very free with those guys that do hours. So sometimes I'm able to ask them, why are you not here? Why were you not here on this time? You say, oh, maybe your director didn't call me. That's why I didn't come. Or maybe they'll be there for something else. And I tell them, look, that sterilizer is also doing good. And then they'll go and look at it. I'm just friendly with them. Okay. So you can also do that. And then the handling of the cylinders, as I've told you, as per the IFU, anything that you don't understand, anything that you think is a problem, it has, as I told you, everything is a hazard there. They all have risks. So look for the IFU. If you need to talk to your director to do it, talk to your director to do it, so you can know how to take care of that. All right. The cover caps should be in place. Inspect threads on cylinder values. At my end, we have the biomedic people that do it a lot. They bring those cylinders. When we need, we just call them and then they bring them. We don't take care of that. But there are some places you'll be taking care of that. Okay? Emergency procedures. You should be familiar with emergency shut-off procedures. Oh, this button has to, like the other clip, if there's this trouble, you have to turn this key and pull this thing out. You have to know this emergency shut-off procedures. Ask and your director to show you, or your supervisor to show you how to do it. Don't just say, oh, I'll call somebody to do it. You must know it yourself too. And that's how you can stay safe. Central service equipment, we have all this, and this is just a repetition of the last slide. Preventive maintenance program. All right, I've spoken about that. Disaster preparedness. We have internal disasters, such as situations causing harm or injury to healthcare facility employees. Those are internal disasters. We have the loss of utilities impacting departmental operations. The power isn't good. The gas is finished. The air, the air tanks are empty. We can't even blow air through any lumens and stuff. Those are internal things that can bring about internal injuries. Okay, this thing moved. Somebody fell down here. He got his finger got squished in the door. All those things. But the point is, that's internal. These are hazardous. We have like the chemical spills, the power loss, the utility failures. They are all internal. All right. So when we talk of this, the disaster preparedness, we have internal and then external disasters. And then we need disaster plans. The external ones include things that impact operations like earthquakes, floods, hurricanes. People cannot even go to work. Those are all external disasters. This results in large numbers of injured patients being sent to the facility. Look at the COVID time. It was an external disaster. These hospitals got flooded with bodies and whatever you can call it. All right. So we need disaster plans that will be consistent with the facilities plans. We have 1,000 beds here. If we are making a disaster plan, the disaster plan should be able to consider all these 1,000 beds that in case of a disaster, we can accommodate 1,000 people every day if they're just coming and going out. But if they're coming to stay for a week, it means every week we can consider 1,000 people, 1,000 patients, and then the next week another 1,000. We have to make a plan to go with our resources and what we have. So it must be consistent with our facilities plans. All right? Elements of this disaster plan is mostly going to be done by the supervisors, but then we have to know it by training and other things that they'll do for us. So this is the same thing that I spoke about. So these plans must be consistent with our facility plans. Plans should align with the facilities overall disaster plans. What we have inside should merit what they're bringing from outside. All right? And then most hospitals use an incident command system, the ICS, for emergency response. And that's what I told you. When you go for onboarding, try to know the codes that they will mention up and talk about because they will be helpful for you. That's what most hospitals use. They outline lines of authority and key individuals to notify for specific types of disasters. Protocols for replenishing and delivering emergency supplies. I told you there are, at my job, we have phone lines there for extensions that you call for specific stuff from bio engineering people and the biomed and everybody. All right? From your directors, from your supervisors. Your role here is understand your role in disaster plans. Understand it. Maintain close communication with the infection prevention department and then the Centers for Disease Control for up to date information. World Health Organization, which right now I don't know how significant they are in these programs, but then they are also there. Then you have to coordinate and communicate, share ideas, share information. So that's your role. By having this incident preparedness, it gives you an upper hand on what to do and know how to be safe, how to take care of the situation before it even happens. And it should be in line with CDC and all the supervisory agencies, their plans, because these plans have to coordinate with them and has to be in line, all right? And has to be updated all the time. Employee accidents and injuries. All injuries must be documented. I said this over and over because they must be in compliance with OSHA regulations. Identify the cause, the situation, and the behaviors involved so that we can take corrective actions to revise the system. Inform appropriate manager immediately. Reporting on safe situations. The reporting and documentation, I told you about it already. Preventing future injuries is why we do the corrective measures and try to make sure it doesn't happen again. So the immediate reporting, you should report on safe situations right away and then ensure that there's timely action to mitigate the risk. Patient accidents and injuries are just going to be the same. It must be, most of the time it's not going to be from our end, but they are supposed to also report it accordingly so that there can be an investigation and then we find ways to come with corrective measures. Any questions? So your responsibilities come up again. This side is all repetitive, so you don't have to worry too much about it. We spoke about it already. Report on safe practices and hazards. Report it to your supervisor, report it to your manager, okay? Don't sit and say, I don't care. You must care because it's about your safety and you are needed. You have to be safe. deliver items according to procedures, packaging and sterilization items, follow the protocols. Your employee information and training. The training most of the time is going to come from your supervisors, but also train yourself, as I keep saying. Also train yourself by reading all the signs that you see and taking care of safety protocols. Safety protocols. Read all the signs. Use your PPE appropriately. Be always ready, ever prepared, okay? Be always ready to be called to the OR or to the most sterile place. So you have to always have your PPE. Any questions? Health and safety orientation, they will give that to you as you enter the departments, as you get onboarded. But you have to familiarize yourself with the hazards and safety practices on the job. Okay, ask questions, read signs. You're gonna see everything, the physical and health effects of hazardous substances. Most of the time you get that from the IFUs. And ask questions, ask your supervisors, ask people that you met there. A lot of times you're gonna know that some know more. Try to coordinate with them. Reading labels and reviewing the safety data sheets. Those should be one of your important things to do there. Employee preparedness, we spoke about that already. You must be ready. Anytime you're taking this training, don't run away from it. Go and be part of it so you can learn something and know what to do in an emergency, okay? Know how to handle chemicals and respond to emergencies, understand hazards and know emergency shut-off locations, and then know evacuation routes, like the routes. Americans will say the routes, the British will say the routes. That's the way. Which way do you go when there's an emergency? Please know that so that you can be prepared for emergencies. Safety policy and emergency preparedness, that's the same thing. Employee awareness and preparedness, it's up to you. They will give the training. Please don't take it for granted. So, right now, our conclusion is that there is the importance of central service technicians. They are important because you have a vital role in healthcare facility safety program. All right, you have a vital role. Expectations and performance include your ability to perform efficiently and calmly in any situation. If you had a pen and paper or you're looking in a book with all this information, I will expect that you write this down and say, my ability to perform efficiently and calmly in any situation. That should be a priority for you when it comes to safety and emergency preparedness. Your ability to perform efficiently and calmly in any situation. All right? Your ability to perform efficiently and calmly in any situation. All righty? Safety of all individuals should be your concern. Patients, visitors, employees, and departmental staff. No one is left behind. Those that we can get, we have to get safely out of there. Training and safety drills must be taken seriously. I've said it to you over and over. Adoption of safe work habits. Please, I tell you, as soon as I get in there, I'm ready to go to the most sterile point because I'm well dressed with my PPE. Adoption of safe work habits. That is it. This ensures preparedness for unplanned emergencies. Any questions? Any questions?
No.
The man, is it, the woman has spoken. I need another one from a man. Any questions?
No questions.
Good one. Okay. So, is director on there?
Yes, Professor Charles, I'm here.
All righty. So over to you now. I've made the announcement, but if you can re-emphasize it.
Yes. So next week Thursday will be our registration day. Professor Charles, did you stress that for those who joined while the class was in progress can still register because you have a duration of 6 months to take the exam. So we expect that when we meet next week Sunday, everybody will register. The registration fee is $140. After registering, you will need to call HSPA to confirm that they did receive your payment. And once you get your eligibility number, you can call me or Professor Charles, and then we'll help you to schedule the exams. Any questions?
No question.
Well, topic, while you want to leave, it looks like you are in a hurry.
It looks like the message was just the same thing I told them. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right. So
Mhm.
come here next week. We will post the link for the registration. We'll guide you through. We'll guide you through the registration, and after that, remember the registration is different from scheduling the exams. You with the scheduling the exams, you do it with a Prometric, and that you do it based off your zip code and location. If you live in Maryland, you will use your zip code, to locate examination center that is closer to you to register. And if you live also in Jersey or New York City, you will use your address to look for a location that is closer to you. You can register if you have just work authorization, and also, yes, you can get a job if you have just the authorization. Um, what other thing? Robert Charles, did I miss anything?
I think that's just the same thing I told them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there is a time frame that you will need to register with the current process. Before, you could just register anytime. I think now they have a time frame that they open for registration. Once that time is open, you will need to register and write. When they close, you have to wait for another registration period, and I believe that will be 2025. So try as much as possible to register, even if you have just joined the class, even if you just joined today, register, because registration is different from scheduling the exams. And let's say for those who will be joining, who will be starting this June 7th, they can still register with you. As soon as we start with them, we will have them register, I think, in the first week, so that by the time they get to the 12th week, they should be able to also take exams. We encourage that as soon as you are done with the class, you take the exams, because then the material is very fresh in your mind. And we also are trying to get as many of you as we can in the job market. We've already started receiving orders, because friends and colleagues are willing to support us, and they're already asking if some of you have already written the exams. A matter of fact, I've forced few of you here to register, because I see based on, performance, how they do their homework. If they are here, I know they can attest, they've already registered. I know Tofik is one of them. He has already registered, and someone else, he doesn't want me to mention his name, and one other lady, they've already registered, and we're looking to have them take the exam sometime next month, early next month, so that, we can get this going. So I will encourage that, you do your assignments, you do your practice quizzes, if you take the mock exams, which will be next week, Sunday, based on your performance, some of you will call you to, um, either advise you to sit up, but we cannot force you to not register. But for some of you, even based off, what you have done so far, we are very optimistic that even if you take the exams today, you will pass, especially if you go through our mock exams. We have three of them. One is compulsory, the two are optional. Any questions?
Yeah, Dereka,
Yes,
last
sir.
week you were saying that we will be meeting in person. What would that be?
Okay, so the plan was we'll meet in person. The reason why I did not I didn't send any confirmation message is because they're still working on the space. My hope was that they would have finished this week, but due to the Passover and the Easter, the entire last week they didn't come. So I wouldn't want you to come while construction is still in progress. Um, I also do not want to like force people, especially those who already booked up. If you are not able to, tell them or pre-inform them before dates, then they probably would not be able to make it. That is why you see that I haven't really, come back to it. But if they are able to finish Monday, Tuesday, I would I would entreat those of you who can to come in person, because I already have some things for you. Of course, then you can pick up your certification, you can pick up your T-shirt, you can pick up your pen, and we also plan to have some get together, and it will be a good opportunity for us to socialize, to put what do you call it, faces to your names, so that when you see Professor Charles, you know that, oh, this is the professor who has been doing a yeoman's job all this while, who is, part of my success. If you see me, you know that this is me. And if anybody also wants to come to our office for registration, you would not find yourself wanting in trying to help the person with the address and also where exactly they should alight when they are coming. So I would confirm by Wednesday.
Okay. Are we coming tomorrow? Are we meeting tomorrow?
Yes, we are. Tomorrow we'll be doing chapter 23, and the final chapter 24 will be next week, Saturday. Then Sunday we'll do the mock exams and registration. We'll take the first 15 minutes to do the registration, then we'll do the mock exams.
Okay.
All right. You're welcome. For those of you who are doing your medicals, how is it going? We're still waiting for the form to send it to the facility.
For me, I have an appointment on Monday with my doctor.
Okay, good.
Same as I.
What about you, Yusuf? What about you?
Same as I. I
Okay.
also have it on Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
And is Rihanna here? Rihanna. Okay, I think she has already left. I mean,
Yeah, I have my ready right now. I will call you so I know how to send it to you.
sounds good. It's going to be through email, okay? Please don't send me anything on WhatsApp. And it's the entire medicals that is needed, not only the flu shot. Flu is already over. If you don't want to take it, you can decline, but you have to attach the declination, what do you call it, a letter to the form. But the rest, the rubella, the yellow fever, the others, you have to do it. If you have already done that lately, all that you need to do is take the document to your doctor. They'll go through, see the one that they need to repeat. They will do that and they will write that. You will need to bring it to me and I'll stamp them, then email it to the educator, and that's it. That is a standard requirement by Fed. If you are going to work in a hospital, they need to make sure that all those checkup are done before you start. I did the same thing. For me, I was fortunate when I did it right after the internship. I got a job, so I didn't need to repeat it. I used the same thing, to apply for the job that I was going to do. And for those of you who are determined, hardworking, and agile, when you go there, it's likely they would retain you, because I know Montana West is always hiring, because right now their FTE is about 54 and they're still looking, because they asked me to send them some people. So if you go there and you are hardworking and you determined, they are likely to keep you. My advice is that when you go, do not engage in local politics. Do not engage in local politics. The director told me that. He said, Charisma, if you send anybody here and they come and they're going to stress me, I'm going to fire them on the spot. There was a lady that in the past, she called me and asked me if I could help her with internship. I made some calls, and they said, yeah, she could come. She went there and she was conniving with the staff in there to disrespect the manager. So she finished the internship and she left. Few months later, there was an opening there, and she called me again and she said, hey, Salim, can you help me? I saw that this particular hospital has posted something, I don't know. And I'm like, but you did your internship there. Why can't you apply? He said, when I went there, the director was very mean. So, blah, blah. And I said, how did you know? He said, oh, because I made a friend there and she told me, and the friend it's not in good time with the director.
Wow.
Blah, blah.
This
Yeah.
is funny.
Yeah. People do that. People really do. And I said, so you involved yourself in a local politics, and now you cannot even go back there to ask for a favor. I was very, very disappointed, And so I called her, and she was like, that lady, she said, even if I see her on the subway, I'm not going to even, look, her way. So that is how some people are just, terrible. They can't just mind their business. Remember, when you go there, you are a visitor. When you go there, you are a visitor. You are just going to do your hours. And for some of you that I spoke with privately, I told you that this business is becoming very lucrative, right? If we get to meet in person, I'll go on a website. Matter of fact, let me just tell you so that you can do that by yourself. Go to governmentsalary.com, right? When you go to governmentsalary.com, just type any random African name, because now CSPD is made up of about 73% in New York City, 73%, Africans. Type any, let's say type Sapon, type Japan, type Kofi, and just look up and see the salaries people are making in this industry. Let me see if I can even, what time is it? Is it 6 already?
No, 30 minutes more.
It's 5:30.
5:30.
You have half an hour.